Welcome to the FutureFoodCast. Food enthusiasts, we're so glad you're here. We have a really insightful guest today, Laura Chidola, and she's here to talk to us all about, she's got a couple different businesses going. She's got business in teas, business in cannabis, and we want to hear all about it. So welcome to the podcast, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here.
Well, we are so excited to have you. You have quite a rich history in all different areas of business. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you have come to where you are right now, and then we'll talk about where you are right now as well.
Sure. So I'm the CEO and creative director of Tealish, which is a specialty tea company my now husband and I founded in 2005, before the big kind of tea renaissance came about. So we were kind of first movers in that realm. And I'm also the chief strategy officer of Join Botanicals, which is a cannabis biotech company that I'm also a co-founder of. And we have really special technology, innovative technology, where we turn cannabis oils and distillates into a water-soluble powder with a very fast onset. So it's pretty exciting and groundbreaking there.
That is very exciting. Now, backing up, so did tea and love bring you together with your now husband? You said now husband, so you started out in the tea business, not married.
Not married. So we actually met in university. We both went to the University of Toronto, and we met there and dated briefly, and then sort of, went our separate ways. We were quite young and stayed in touch. And, then after we both graduated, we reconnected. I was just starting my first year of law school and, heading down that path, but also had just returned. I had just returned from a trip to Europe backpacking, as you do. And my husband, Michael, had just returned from a year in Thailand. So we were sort of opened up to the world in a way that we hadn't been before. Came back, I started law school and just really felt like it was not a great fit for me in terms of what I was discovering about myself and my, skills, abilities, and preferences, and how I wanted to, show up in the world. So Michael and I took a kind of a gap year and just started to figure out what we wanted to do and what kind of career path we would want to take, which entailed, me leaving law school and just really starting to explore what we liked doing together. That's kind of where it started. So we really figured out we loved cooking and eating out in different restaurants, and we both have a passion for travel. And we happened upon this little tea shop where we were living at the time, and both just like fell in love with the entire concept that it was presenting, which was beyond the tea bag you would have growing up, which is really like, I knew what red rose was, and my mom would make me tea with honey and lemon when I was sick, or I would have chamomile if I had a stomachache, but that's really all I knew. So Michael and I started drinking tea together and buying all these teas from all over the world. And, we were not making a lot of money at the time, but we decided to invest in this beautiful glass teapot so that we can enjoy our tea in the evenings together. So it's really started that way. And then we moved back to Toronto and started talking about our career path and different business opportunities. And both coming from entrepreneurial families, decided that we wanted to give our own business a go, and found that we loved tea and the culture, and saw an opportunity in Toronto to present tea in a really fun, modern, engaging way that hadn't been done before. Present people with flavors, like green tea can have pomegranate and goji berries and beautiful flowers, or, herbal teas can be mixed together to create wonderful flavors that can maybe replace sugary beverages, or, we just saw so much opportunity in tea, and we were so excited and passionate about it that that's really how we ended up starting the business.
I love the entrepreneurial journey and listening about how you end up where you are. I can hear the creativity in how this morphed, for lack of a better term. Like, you took one step and enjoyed tea yourselves. You were the consumers, and you said, "Oh, we can up level this," and found the opportunity in Toronto. And then you brought your best ideas to your clients, and obviously it's been successful.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been quite a journey. I mean, we have been in business for many years, and so our business has taken twists and turns and pivots along the way. And, it's been really fun sharing our experience of what we knew tea could be with our customers. Once we sort of have interact with our customers and bring them into our world of tea, they share in that passion with us. And that's the kind of community that we've been able to develop through our products. And sort of the purpose behind many of our products is giving people almost a story behind each tea, getting them interested in tea beyond just like, oh, I'm just having a beverage, here's what this tea can do for you. Here are the ingredients. Here's how you can pair it with certain rituals during your day. So really helping people cultivate that wellness habit. So we've done that through our retail store, which we've had for many years. We have a very robust e-com website now as well, where we offer over 100 types of tea and all different sort of accompanying mugs and teapots and honeys and different things to kind of enjoy alongside your tea ritual. And we also have different lines of tea that are being sold into the B2B market, so that more people have access to the product, whether that's in specialty gift or in grocery.
Okay. Diversified outside of just your one location to be able to provide the product different ways. And then you're reaching a much broader audience as well. What's the biggest challenge that you're having with the tea industry right now?
I would say the biggest challenge. So right now we're really trying to penetrate grocery. And so we've tried a couple times over the years, and, we've had some kids in between. And so a bit of scale back or refocusing on the business during that time. And now, our kids are a bit older, we're really gunning for grocery. And what we're finding is that penetrating grocery is very challenging because you're competing with large food. And, it's not a new story, but when you're in the middle of learning about it, it's challenging. And you also start to realize that it's, how can we who are putting, this passionate and more bespoke spin on tea compete with a large company like Lipton, who's got such purchasing power and brand recognition and all of that. So that's one part that's, a big challenge. And then getting, all of your distributor fees and broker fees, like there's many fees involved in grocery, which is also a challenge. But the other big challenge is I think consumers are so used to paying so little for food. If it's 50 tea bags for $3.99, or drugstore the other day and they had a little food section and I saw a box of like Captain Crunch for $3.99. And I mean, like, we're so involved, like our kids eat very well, definitely have treats sometimes, but I'm very focused on ingredients and knowing what we're putting in our bodies. And so how can somebody who, when you have to be price conscious, it almost feels like you can't put health first and you can't put a focus on premium ingredients first. And so that is a challenge, is that the smaller manufacturers have to charge a higher price point because A, they're smaller, but B, they're using better ingredients. And so there you have to be able to charge more for that product, an uphill battle convincing the consumer that this product is worth more. And why is it worth more? And reaching the customer and telling them that story. And again, to tell that story, you need big marketing dollars. So it's really about the volume and the scale and just and changing people's minds over time. Tea has historically been a very low cost product.
And rather than it just being a commodity, I mean, you are looking for that end user, that tea consumer that really cares about health and wellness, really cares about the quality of ingredients. Not that the other teas have bad ingredients, but yours are obviously a step above, and the care that goes into the selection of those is critical. So you're right. It's going to be like a grassroots effort, really. Yeah. I mean, your client base is going to hunt the raving fans that you have out there already, going to have the drumbeat going for your team. That's, I'm sure, something that you can overcome over time, or maybe start in some of the smaller retailers to gain some momentum and some popularity and some name recognition, right? Because you're not going to be able to pay for all the marketing dollars and also be able to keep doing the quality product. There's only so much wallet to go around, right? As you decide what you're spending money on. Well, let's shift gears a little bit because you mentioned a couple different businesses and the other one is in botanicals and with some cannabis. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Sure. So I'll just give a quick summary on how we actually ended up in cannabis. Obviously, being in tea, we love the concept of plant medicine and what herbs can do for you. So even just knowing like what a cup of chamomile tea can do and how it can actually relax your body, like it works. Just really believe in those herbs. And so over time, when cannabis started to become legalized in Canada, we had a lot of the producers in Canada, licensed producers, come to us and ask us to make them cannabis tea. We said, sure, that's amazing. We'd love to be involved. We think cannabis is a wonderful medicine and or recreational activity. But, how are you getting cannabis into tea? And nobody had an answer. So we're like, well, are people just putting oil in? You can't just infuse cannabis and get the same effects. And so we saw an opportunity in the marketplace to come up with a format where you could get cannabis into tea and beverages, and maybe possibly other edibles. And so we partnered with a scientist who's a family friend, a really brilliant chemist who had been teaching at a university in the US for many years and had worked on many natural health products over time. He had just recently retired. So we pitched him this project and he was very excited about it as well. And so he got to work coming up with a technology to create a water-soluble cannabis powder that could be used in tea or any type of beverage. It really kind of started there and then has led us into, really understanding the industry and the needs of the new cannabis consumer.
Wow. I really like that you kind of brought back into the fold by sharing the vision for the product with the professor that had already retired. And it's like, oh, this is exciting. Of course, I'm going to come out of retirement to work on this project. And what a great service. And to have somebody with such a good knowledge base that has a whole, a lifetime of working in science. What a great thing to bring. And how is all of that going? Where are you with that product line or options?
Yeah, it's going really well. I mean, we've spent the past 3 years R&Ding the product and perfecting it, doing some preclinical trials and, really understanding and proving out the technology. So, beyond it just being a water soluble powder, what was really important to us was it having a fast onset. So it traditionally cannabis edibles will take an hour or more to set in. So you don't really know what you're getting into. And for people who are medical patients or who need it right away, that doesn't really work. You almost have to kind of like predict that something might happen to you and you'll need this medicine. So having this fast onset and perfecting it was really important to us. So we've worked with an LP, a licensed producer in Canada, to continue that R&D, and they just brought the first product to market a couple of days ago in Canada. So the first product to market is actually a coffee pod. So it's in a coffee pod that you would put in an espresso machine or something like that. And I think the dose is 5 milligrams of THC and a low dose, low caffeine coffee. So we've just launched our first product and are, talking to other licensed producers in Canada and the US about including the powder in their beverages and edibles.
That is so exciting. A couple of days ago.
Yeah.
We're on the cutting edge here, Laura. I love talking to you. How are you containing your enthusiasm after, these years of research, and then you get the LP there to be able to come up with this pod product and have actually released it. So best of luck with that. I hope that takes off. Are they advertising that, or what's the rollout plan?
They are. So they've rolled it out again just recently. So I think it's maybe a little different in Canada than the US in terms of the marketing that they are allowed to do. So it has launched on the different kind of government run websites, and then that will be rolled out into different dispensaries as well along the way. And I think just because it's such a novel format, it's the first coffee product to hit the shelves in Canada. So because it's novel, I think there will just be a lot of excitement and interest because of that. And then I think that the advertising and promotion will really start to take shape in the next couple of months once they understand that what that initial demand will look like.
Well, I think that releasing it as a coffee product in the winter is a perfect timing, because more people are, let's face it, more people are drinking coffee when it's cold out than, possibly in the summer. They might make another beverage, a different beverage choice.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think, I think it's a great product as well, because what you're starting to see in cannabis is that people are not just using it as a way to get a buzz. Let's say a lot of people are using it who use it before exercise, or they use it before a creative session at work. A 5 milligram dose is not a lot for people who consume cannabis regularly. So it might just be that little extra piece of relaxation or inspiration or creativity boost to, you're able to consume that in the morning and still go about your day without feeling, too impaired. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a great format for, many different things, or, having a coffee with a friend on a Saturday before you go for a big hike or something. Right. So I think there's a lot of different ways you can use it. And then, obviously in the summer, you can put it into iced coffee and the like. And I think the goal with this company is to also start putting it into more product formats. So we're discussing putting it into pods with our teas, possibly getting it into gummies and lozenges and more product formats that kind of sit in your mouth, because that's when you're starting to feel the effects, if it's kind of in your mouth.
The absorption. I know the sublingual, put something under your tongue so that you can not have to go through the digestive tract to get more quickly absorbed. To your point of that onset of action, you wanted that to be as quick as possible, especially someone who really needs the product for maybe a medicinal type purpose. And it's almost like getting ahead of it. You don't want to be suffering and then have to wait an hour. You want to know you're going to get some results sooner than that.
Definitely.
Yeah. So the water soluble is interesting because it's more oil-based plant, isn't it? I mean, is that what the challenge is?
Yeah, the challenge is, so you extract oil from the plant, and then the oil can be turned into different things. It can be put into like a vape pen, or some people will just mix the oil directly into their chocolate or edibles. Okay. The idea with our powder is, you convert the oil into a powder, and the ingredients in our powder are clinically proven to enhance bioavailability, which helps with onset. So there's that key point. The second point is being able to put it into a beverage and have it dissolve. I mean, you certainly could grab a bottle of CBD oil and drop a few things in your tea, but you've just got oil floating on the top of your teacup, and it's kind of the same as just taking a vitamin if you're going to do it that way. So we're really trying to enhance the experience for the consumer and get them, enjoying it, just like you would put in a scoop of ashwagandha powder into your smoothie. This can be looked at as a supplement that you add to your other products. So we're starting with coffee, but you can really put it into anything and have it dissolve and really not know that it's there and not be able to taste it, because the ingredients in our powder also mask the flavor of the cannabis, which can be quite overpowering and strong and quite bitter, which will affect the experience of the food, which is important to us. You want to have that food profile, flavor, and texture remain consistent.
Yes. And back to your beginnings, you and Michael was his name, correct?
Yeah.
When your initial thoughts, I mean, even though this is a different product line with maybe some different focus, and you still are focused on that experience that your consumer is going to have, and you want them to enjoy it. And maybe there's something social associated with that, or you're going to create the environment. If you're able to put it in as an option in your product with your tea line, that kind of goes right along with what your mission is for wellness, mentally as well as physically, right? Because you're trying to get people to enjoy the experience and relax through their life. We are so busy and so scheduled sometimes that it's really nice to talk to you about, oh, I'm relaxing speaking with you. Just I'm kind of sitting back in my chair thinking about, yes, I'm going to go make a cup of tea after I get finished speaking with you. And I've got some nice chai tea right in my cabinet. I'm almost tasting it as we're talking, just so I can sit and relax and enjoy that after our conversation. And I hear that coming through, like that's what you're looking to do, to give your customers an experience as well as a product, right?
That really is what it's about. I mean, of course, we've been in business for many years. And so you are always taking a look at your values and sort of what the core thing you want to provide to your customers, as well as what the core kind of purpose of your business is and what you're trying to bring to the world. And it does keep going back to, we want to give people those experiences that they take a moment, they become conscious of like where they are, what they're doing. I'm here, I'm having this cup of tea, maybe that gives them a moment to say, like, pay attention to whoever they're sitting across from in a new, engaging way, or would play with their children. I mean, tea or cannabis or both together. It's really about stopping and pausing and taking in that moment, because you're right, we don't do that enough. Everybody is so busy and life is just passing by. I was reading something the other day about like, if you don't actually stop and pause, you're always thinking about the next thing that you're doing and you're missing everything that's going on and passing you by. And so that's why we do love tea so much, and cannabis as well, because it really helps ground you in the moment. Yeah. And of course, we want those moments to be as enjoyable as possible. So we love playing with branding and aesthetics and colorful packaging and engaging storytelling. And so we want everything to be a full experience for people. And we really are just sharing our love of tea and plant medicine. And so we want that to come through in every product that we create. So I'm glad you're looking forward to having a tea, and I'm happy to send you some of our favorites for you to enjoy.
I love that. And well, let's face it, really, Laura, with food, so much of experiencing food is experiencing the others around us and taking the time out a little bit to sit back and enjoy that experience of eating the food, drinking the drink, being with those we love and care about while we're doing that. It's a holistic experience if you do it right, which is what we're trying to promote, I'm hearing, in your situation. So that's really cool. Yeah. As far as trends go, people are really looking for that. They're looking for a little bit of an oasis. Everything else is so rush, and let me just take a moment out.
Yeah. And that's what I think is really interesting about the food industry in general now and how it's changing. And people they are taking time to take a look at their food instead of just using food as a means to kind of keep energy or keep full or whatever. It's saying, what am I putting in my body? How is it making me feel? What are the ingredients? And what are the brands that I'm supporting? And I think that is such an important movement that is finally happening. People are finally realizing what they put into their bodies has a direct impact on how they feel, in terms of energy and digestion and mood and all of those things. So, I'm really excited to see what other people are doing and how different categories are being reinvented, and even new categories are being invented, even just like the dairy-free movement into nut milks and oat milks and coconut milks and coconut yogurts. So I'm definitely inspired by just the whole food industry is kind of really opened up. And instead of it just being more like a grassroots movement, it is becoming, I just think, the new food industry almost.
I think you're absolutely right. People really are looking at a holistic view of their food, and they are caring now more than ever before, I think, about what's going into their bodies. And category wise, though, really with your cannabis product, cannabis as a food product in like the coffee, which is your first, that's kind of a new category. I mean, that didn't used to exist.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think you're pretty much on the cutting edge of that. Where do you see yourself going next? I mean, you mentioned gummies and others. I think some of that has already been existing. Do you have an idea for where you want to go that we haven't heard of
Yes, definitely. I think what you have mostly heard of in cannabis, I think in the first wave of it all was gummies and chocolates and lozenges and things like that, which are all great. And I definitely would love to do that. But I also would love for cannabis products and our powder to be included in products that are part of those daily rituals. So you're not introducing people to things that they don't really need to be eating. It depends how many chocolates you eat in a day. And of course, chocolate can be good for you. But my dream is to have this powder included in products that are good for you. So whether it's in your, sports energy drink or your protein powder or your tea, I love the idea of it being included in powdered drink mixes, which I'm, really into now, just kind of keeping up the hydration levels, getting a bit sick of water. So I've got all these different powders I'm adding to my waters that are not like, they're not Crystal Light or something that has a lot of sugar. I think sugar is, on the way out. Yeah. So having different ways to, I guess, hydrate. So I would definitely love to see it in a hydration powder, in hydration mixes, or just different vitamin powders. Really, it suits that perfectly. And again, having those daily rituals, like it could be in your morning, granola bar, healthy granola bar or something. So included in things that you're already eating. I think because cannabis is still up and coming, I don't think everybody's convinced yet that it's okay to consume. There's so many years of false storytelling to undo. So once it's being included in those things that people are taking every day anyways, it becomes less of a chore to say, oh, I'm going to take my CBD or I'm going to take this, to help me sleep at night. So if it's included in those wellness products that are geared towards specific ailments or functions, that would be where I hope we can head with the product line.
Right. And then somebody's not having to think about consuming it, is your point, part of a habit that they've already got. It's not like, oh, and I need to take my CBD,
right?
Whatever form that might take. Well, what kind of challenges are you having in the cannabis area? Like, I know supply chain is an issue across the food industry. Is that any problem that you're having, or are there growers and you can get supplied easily enough, or how does that work?
So we're not having problems with, I guess, I don't think cannabis has a supply chain issue at the moment, in the same way that food does. That's not to say other inputs along the way aren't having supply chain issues in terms, maybe packaging or something like that. But really what I would say is a challenge for us in Canada has just been, there's so many restrictions on marketing and so many barriers to entry in terms of launching a brand or launching a cannabis company. So that challenge there has been to find the right partner in Canada to get the product to market. And then I would say in the US, which is another, country we would love to get involved in, because it's not federally legal, it's, state by state, and then finding the right companies to work with on those products as well. So again, being a smaller company, trade shows not being on as much. So there's been a few challenges, the past 2 years, slowing down that momentum. Everything kind of ground to a stop and now is getting restarted in Canada. I know it's more going in the US for a while, but, wrapping our heads around the new world and how we all move through it. And I think cannabis is still very new. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to convince you to just, drink tea, because tea has been around for thousands of years. Like, cannabis is still such a new industry. And I think it is just challenging to convert people to say it's okay, it's safe, you're not going to get too high because it's controlled, and there's different types that for different people. And so it's really about that education and then, finding the right people to work with. Definitely those two things.
So I hear a lot about your challenge. I see two things, and one you mentioned, which is the regulatory environment, both in Canada and in the United States, because let's face it, it used to be illegal. And so the challenge, and I think as time goes on, you're right, it is already becoming more and more accepted. More and more states here in the United States are making legalization. However, there still is a lot of regulation around the industry. And that's, you're right, a challenge to navigate, especially for a smaller company. So finding those partners that maybe have already navigated some of that you can get with them and provide the best of what you do with the best of what they do. So neither one of you has to remake. I see that might be, a good option for you to follow. That sounds great. Well, what else would you like for us to know? Is there anything that we haven't chatted about that you'd like for our audience to know about what you're doing now, what's coming in the future, any of those things?
We did cover a lot today. I think, in terms of, I'll just give you a summary of where, Tealish is and where Join is and, what we're really passionate about continuing in the future is, Tealish, we're taking a look at our company as a whole and understanding, what the customers are really responding to and what kind of the best teas for this period of time is. So we're really focused on building out a functional wellness line of teas. And I'm really excited about that line. The packaging is beautiful and engaging and kind of it combines all the best things that we do. So beautiful packaging, delicious teas, plus they're really good for you and they taste good. Often teas that are meant for certain ailments have some herbs in there that are a bit tough to swallow at times. And so we've created 6 teas that are delicious and good for you and will help with things like sleep and digestion and colds and stress and all those things that we're, really trying to combat. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're most excited about in Tealish and, penetrating the grocery market in Canada and hopefully the US to follow. And then in terms of our cannabis product, we're really just excited about the product hitting the market and people getting to try it for the first time. We really believe that people will see a big difference between the edibles they're currently consuming and this edible in terms of the effect that it has and the onset time. And we really, we've put 3 years into this, developing this product because we felt like it was so different and could change the game. And we're just so excited for people to try it and to, again, hear that feedback from customers that, seeing people enjoy a product that you've put your heart and soul into, there's nothing better. So really looking forward this year to just continuing to thrill our customers with our innovations and continuing to grow both businesses in the wellness sphere.
Well, Laura, your whole focus on really the holistic, looking at a person and their health and wellness, their desire to put the best products possible into their body. And not only that, you've helped them by identifying those ingredients that are best in certain areas. So you're taking that part of it out and helping them identify which products, if they have a certain problem they're coming with. Let's face it, during the pandemic, there's a lot of information about taking care of ourselves and making sure that our bodies are strong, that we're healthy, that our immune systems are strong. And your product lines really do overlap with each other in that area and really help people to achieve those ends. Thank you so much for being on the Future Foodcast with us today and sharing all your wisdom.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to Future Foodcast. Future Foodcast is powered by Farm to Plate, the leading food blockchain platform. Subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to stay up to date with the very latest innovations in the food industry.